promised that I never would leave you. It's funny how the seasons change. The more that I try to forget you, it's funny how things stay the same. Without a rhyme or reason, when I look into your eyes, I know that I found forever. No hiding and no disguises. Reunion of souls, of mind, of space, over time, every place. I look and I see your face everywhere, constant reminder of everything I want to be, who I am and how with you I can be free. I can be free. It's amazing what the soul can remember, no matter what the day or time or the appointed hour. All I know is your soul and mine are so joyful together. It's as if we found a perfect way being together. So tell me, how can we stay apart? Ooh, can we stay apart? In a place before now, reunion, a time before here, we were called to this place, and I'm glad to be standing here. Sometimes the truth is painful, but a leap of faith is all it takes. Close your eyes, don't get discouraged. Spread your wings and just let the winds change. Blow free, just believe they hold you if you dare to close your eyes and soar free. Soar free. There you are. I see you. So tonight we're being joined by the lovely Sophia Ramos. Y'all are gonna love her. She is incredible at everything good. There she is.
Grandma figured it out.
Yeah. Do you have Cisco figure stuff out for you? I'll be texting the kids like, come help me, come help me.
I can't. I'm like, hello, somebody help me. I was like, I see her. You know what it was? I had to turn my phone to see the request.
Yes, yes. And the other day I had put my my lock on, like the rotation lock, and it was like 3 minutes to my show, and I'm like, oh my God. And I know that Riley's taking a nap, and I'm like, I need you right now. You have to. She's all calm. I'm like, no. And she's like, you just push this button. And I was like,
it's messed up.
Yes. So how are you?
Oh God, that's a loaded question these days, isn't it? Seriously, like, isn't it a loaded question these days?
Yes.
Like, everybody's still kind of like recuperating from the pandemic, like what it did to us emotionally and financially, and, you know, especially for artists, right? Like, everything stopped for us. I mean, you kept going, girl. I was like, damn. But, like, you know, no work. And so, yeah, so literally I'm just starting to feel a little bit like myself finally, you know. My kid is stable. That was really what I was mostly worried about, was,
of course,
Francisco going back to school as a middle schooler, going to a new school, and that kind of trauma. And yeah, so, but now he's good. He's in the 7th grade. And
wow.
Yeah,
I remember when he was like born, like, oh my
I know. It happens quick, man.
And you know what? I feel like there was a show and we were all watching you, and I mean, you were killing it. I think it was a BRC show, and it was somewhere in the city, and we were all like, oh my God.
That was a show on my due date.
Yes, that I was there, and I was like, look at this woman.
And I was like out to there.
Oh my God,
and
beautiful. Tribute. Just glowing, and like I was like, oh my God, this. Okay, so y'all, listen, I've been a fan of Sophia Ramos
forever, right?
Oh,
Before
yeah.
she even knew me. Like, I was like, oh my God, she's such a fucking rock star. I mean, literally, she's a rock star. And
Oh,
especially in a time and a place in New York where they're just, women were not doing what you do with the people that you do it with. I mean, like, the
yeah.
Black Rock Coalition, you know, is Bill Tolles and Vernon Reed and Muskillins, and, you know, it's like Daryl McNeil, the guys, like, just the dudes. And it's like you and Helga Davis and Felice Rosser and Michelle and Cello too. I mean, it's like, that was it. But you were like this fiery, like, I don't give a, I'm gonna say what I want, I'm gonna wear what I want. And I so respect that. So getting to work with you has been such an honor and a pleasure, and being able to do this for you and let, you know, people know who you are. I'm very excited for people to know who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those were good days, the 90s.
Right.
All the great venues,
Yeah.
all the bands, and how we all supported each other, you know.
Yeah. The
Good
Wetlands
times.
and the Time Cafe, right?
Yeah, Wetlands, Time Cafe. I mean, the AKA, the Canal Room. I mean,
Oh my God.
yeah, and there were
CBGBs,
also
all of those. Yeah.
yeah, there Mercury Lounge.
Mercury
You know,
Lounge.
although I had a memorable gig at the Mercury Lounge where the BRC was there. To this day, like, that's the one show where I really wish that people had video cameras
Yes.
back then, but nobody had
Yes.
video camera. So yes, because that was definitely memorable. That was like a riot almost started. But yeah, all those great venues and all that wonderful support, and everybody got a record deal. Not everybody made it, but everybody got a record deal.
Right, right.
You know, yeah.
So how did you get into music?
Oh God. Well, you know, how did I get into music? There was nothing else, right? Because I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s when it was, you know, it was bad. But like, people love to like complain about New York now. And yes, New York, it's definitely post-pandemic. There's some rough edges, you know, that we're still trying to snatch up. And everybody loves to, but my God, it's nothing compared to what New York was like in the 70s and the 80s with, you know, the arson and the fires and neighborhoods looking like war zones, like literally looking like war zones. And like heroin junkies everywhere, and there were gangs in the Bronx. You had like the Young Savages, the Young Skulls, the like, I mean, the list was long. And so my mom, single mom, raising 3 girls, she never let us out the house. We were not allowed to go out to play. We were not allowed ever. It's one of the reasons why, like, I got deep into the church. It wasn't because I really believed in all that dogmatic nonsense. It was because it was a way to get out.
Wow.
Get out the house, socialize, and play my tambourine, you know?
That's hilarious. I had no idea. That's fantastic.
I mean, because I was born a Catholic, but by the time I was 4 years old, I told my mother, I was just like, I cannot go to that church anymore. That is shit's scary. It was so scary because it was the 70s, so part of the service was still in freaking Latin. So I'd go to the church, right? And the priest, this is all going to sound politically incorrect, but I don't give a shit. The priest was like this Irish dude who was an alcoholic. He was like 6 foot something, like close to 300 pounds, and he had that red bulbous nose that happens when they drink too much. And he was creepy, man. And so like he was giving the service, and it'd be like, and I'd be like, what the fuck? This is some scary shit. So I must have been like burned at the stake in another century, because I could not. It freaked me out every time I went to Catholic church. So my mother said to me, well, if you're not going to go to church with me, you got to go to church with your grandmother, because you have to go to church.
Oh boy.
So I was like, okay. So when my grandmother was Pentecostal. So there I was, 4 years old. I show up at her church, and that was it. There was a band, there was a drummer, a conga player, a timbale player, a violin player, guitar player, a bass player, and everybody had tambourines.
Yeah.
And it was just this, I said, oh, okay, I found my church.
I love it.
Yeah. And, you know, and again, it was the 70s. So you remember what 70s radio was like.
Sure.
It was very diverse.
Sure.
And I mean, we're talking like, you know, the Casey Kasem countdown consisted of, yeah, remember? It consisted of everything from like Stevie Wonder, Roberta Flack, Led Zeppelin,
right,
James Taylor,
right,
Carole King,
right.
You know, like it wasn't just one thing. Pop music was that diverse. And so how could you not get lost in it?
Yeah.
You know, so as a child, I just, you know, and what was also great about the 70s is because of that diversity, it wasn't considered, you know, we weren't made fun of because we had that wide range. It wasn't until the late 70s or early 80s, the whole thing, the whole disco thing, where this divide happened. And all of a sudden, if you were Black and Hispanic and you liked rock and roll, it was a travesty. It was like, oh, how could you like that music? Listen to that shit. So yeah, so I mean, that music, you saved my ass.
Oh, me too. Seriously. I mean, and you're right. It's like back then in the 70s, it was whether it was good or not, right? Is it good? Because if it's good, I'm going to listen to it, right? You know, like my dad listened to everything from, you know, Charlie Parker to Steely Dan to Stevie Wonder to the Police to whatever was happening. And it was all really good, right? And then you get to the 80s and you're right, there's this division into very Black and very white music and nothing in between. Like you can like Duran Duran, but then you can't like Stevie Wonder, or you can like Roberta Flack, but then you can't like Led Zeppelin. And it's like, no, but I like all of those, right? And growing up out here, of course, you know, we had the Beach Boys, we had, you know, and of course everybody was, you know, still listening to the Beatles, even though, you know, it was like the last sort of generation, but it was still here, and those harmonies. And so everything just sort of changed in the 80s. And I mean, I love music in the 80s too, but I was one of those weirdos that loved everything and listened to everything. And I think that comes out in our music, right? Because I mean, listen, you can sing whatever, but you know, like I've also heard you sing Spanish music, and I was just like, oh my God. But I feel all of the feeling from everything else, and all of it. It's just, you are such an amazing talent and such an amazing gift. No, seriously, like.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Well, my father is a singer and a performer. So, you know, my parents were both born in Puerto Rico. My mom came here when she was younger, so she's more Americanized. She came here when she was like 9.
Okay.
And then my dad didn't get here until he was 18. And he kind of came here kicking and screaming. My dad hates America.
And he went back. He went back. Because I remember I was totally praying for you when he went back. And we were trying to figure out, okay, yes.
So he actually left America when he was 49. He was just like, I'm done. I'm retiring. I'm going back to Puerto Rico. And he's always, you know, his political view, it's changed a little bit now that he's older, but when we were younger, he was just like, you know, America has, you know, colonized Puerto Rico and has destroyed Puerto Rican culture. And, you know, and he was forced to come here because all the ways to make money in Puerto Rico had disappeared. So he came here when he was 18. So his musical influence was really heavy on me. You know, he was listening to like danzón, which is a type of music called danzón, and rumba and mambo type music. He's from that era, like that music from the 50s and 40s and 50s.
So like
he's 87. So he, as much as I love the salsa, the whole Fania all-star era that happened also in the 70s, my dad, that was too young for my dad. My dad had aged out of that. Like, he liked it, but he's more like Benny Moré and Arsenio Rodriguez and early Celia Cruz. And this is music from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And what's really, really amazing about that era was pre-revolution, Cuban Revolution, and Puerto Rico and Cuba were like this.
Right.
And musicians were coming back and forth. And you had all these amazing, like Afro-Latino Puerto Rican writers, like Rafael Hernandez and I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Alonso Curat, that wrote beautiful, beautiful songs. And so they were bands that coexisted on both islands, and they would go back and forth, and they would tour back and forth. And Celia Cruz's first band, she the first singer was a Puerto Rican singer, Mirta Silva, who's like huge star. So I grew up listening to all of that. But then my dad was also into Santeria. So he had these Orisha records. So I grew up listening to like Yoruban Orisha chant music and his music. And, you know, so yeah, without that, I don't know, life would have been pretty miserable, because even though Puerto Ricans are technically, what do you call that? Citizens, American citizens. The ones, when you come here from Puerto Rico, especially when you come because you're impoverished, so it's a forced migration because there's nothing for you on the island, you're going to starve. They still experience an immigrant lifestyle. They still feel like immigrants. The only advantage is that they don't have to go through the whole, you know, immigration thing, but they still feel the whole reality is like immigrants. You know, they don't feel like they belong. They're treated like second-class citizens. They don't know the language. They separate themselves culturally. My parents always used to use the term esos americanos, right? So, girl, it wasn't until I was 21 years old and I went abroad, right? And I don't speak Spanish that great, you know.
I was just gonna ask you if you were bilingual.
I mean, I am. I can get by. I'm good enough that I can get by. I can hold a conversation. I can, you know. But what was crazy is that I always used to say, yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican. And then I got to England, and the Europeans were like, oh, so I've been to Puerto Rico, and where from Puerto Rico are you from? And I'm like, well, actually, I was born in New York. And they're like, oh, so you're American. And it wasn't until I was 21 that I realized, oh, right, your ass is American. Because I always used to, because it was this disdain that my parents had, especially my dad. Esos americanos. Oh, esos americanos. Oh, vienen unos americanos aquí. And like, and so I always I had separated myself too, not realizing that I was completely American, completely Americanized. But there was something like psychological, you know, because my parents were immigrants.
And I think that happens in New York. It's so funny, like out here, like there's so many Mexicans, but they just sort of assimilate and then they become like white or other. It's the most bizarre thing. But like when you go to New York, people are like, no, I'm Dominican. No, I'm Puerto Rican. Like they hold on to their culture, which I think is so amazing, because often when you're colonized, you don't get the chance. You just don't get the chance to do it, you know? And so that's one of the things I love about New York, just that people are so proud about their heritage, and they're Americans too, but they're like, yes, but I also have this very rich culture that I'm holding on to.
Right.
Wow. So when you went abroad, did you go to do music?
Oh yes, girl. I went, I don't know if we can talk about this part. I don't know if you edit this kind of, but
I'm not editing. It's going straight through.
Well, fuck it. I'm gonna say, anyway, I had in 1985, I used to be a part of the Yippies Youth International Party, the political party, Abby Hoffman. You ever Abby Hoffman?
Yeah, really?
So like he had started it's called Youth International Party, and they had their headquarters were down on Bleecker Street, 9 Bleecker Street. And I went to a couple meetings because my mom had kicked me out when I was 16. Wow. So I went from the South Bronx to the Lower East Side. And this was 1984, right? So we're talking about a New York that is so different. Like counterculture was still alive and well. And it was on the streets. And there was a level of accessibility with like rock stars. Like you could go anywhere downtown and run into Bowie and Basquiat and Andy Warhol and the Ramones and like Patti Smith. They were accessible. It wasn't this like rock star shit. They were rock stars, but the aura around them was more like for the people,
right,
kind of deal.
right.
And so that was still the reality in 1984. And so there I was, I was squatting on 9th Street. You know what a squat is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was squatting on 9th Street and met all these like old hippies from the 60s that lived in the squat, and they used to, and so they're the ones that turned me on to the Yippie. So I would go there, and anyway, the Yippies started to do these shows, and my band we were a part of some of these shows, like Rock Against Reaganism, Rock Against Racism, Rock Against Censorship. We did a Rock Against Racism show in DC with the Bad Brains.
Whoa.
And I have a story about that, but I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to share it here because
that'll be on our weekly call. You can tell
it'll be but anyway, so on this gig in DC, I met Michelle Shock. Do you know who Michelle Shock is?
Yes.
Yeah. So we became friends, and she was kind of like, she would stay with me sometimes, or she would stay in the squat that I had lived in. And she and we would just get together and start singing all her songs, but we would do all these like intricate harmonies of her songs, all these beautiful harmony arrangements of her songs. And we enjoyed singing together so much that we actually created a little duo called the Broke Sisters, BROLK, Broke Sisters.
Whoa.
Right? And we did a couple of gigs that like for the anti-folk movement. That was like this scene that this guy named Latch had started downtown. And we did a couple gigs with him. But anyway, she came over to my house the day that she got a letter from Pete Lawrence, who owned an indie label in England. And I'll never forget it. And she was just like, this guy in England wants to sign me. He wants to release these cassette tapes that I did at the Kerrville Folk Festival. I don't know if I should do it. And me and my boyfriend at the time were like, are you fucking nuts?
Right.
Do that shit.
Right.
So, and then from there it started bidding war, and she was doing her first tour supporting the first record. I actually sang on her first record.
Wow.
But she did some crazy shit, and so it was hard to stay friends with her.
I always wondered what happened to her.
She's still around, but you know, she's a born again Christian. She goes to a church in LA, and I mean, I don't know. And with the irony of all of that is that she actually just sent me an email 3 days ago, wanted to stay in touch, and I'm like, I don't think so. But that's what took me to England.
Wow.
Was Michelle Shock. So we were doing a tour where she was opening up for Billy Bragg. Do you know who Billy Bragg is?
Wow.
Oh, what a sweetheart. And you know who was opening up for Michelle?
Who?
A group called the Beatniks. Do you know the Beatniks?
No.
They were from Oakland.
Oh my God.
And there were this black punk industrial type band, and Michael Franti was one of the lead singers.
Wow.
You know Michael Franti from Spearhead?
I do.
Yes, the Beatniks.
I'm writing all this down. You're just teaching me today. I love it.
They was so wonderful to have them on the road, because
I bet
it was my first time abroad, and I was just like, I need some black people. Oh my God, you know, touring all throughout England is a trip in 1988.
That part. I was gonna say in the 1980s, that's a real trip.
1988, and I actually had to leave the tour a couple of weeks early because of a falling out that I had with Michelle, and you know, because she was just, I don't know, allowing her insecurities to get the best of her, and it was just, you know, so I just finally was just like, I'm out of here. And Billy Bragg was nice enough to let me stay in his house for like 2 days in
Wow.
London. He's such a sweet guy. And it was through him that I met Carl Wallinger from the group The Water Boys.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, I'm recording a record and I'd love for you to come and sing background. So I went and I sang background. And when I was at that session, Sinead O'Connor was there. She was also singing background. Her album hadn't come out yet.
Wow.
I think her album came out like the next year or something like that. But yeah, so I met her and I was like, you know, yeah, it's one of, it's a great album. It's called Goodbye Jumbo. Yeah, and his group's called World Party. And it's like a critically acclaimed album. And it was really great to be out there and meet all these great musicians. And that was a great experience.
So do you feel like, I mean, it sounds like it's just sort of been magical and you just sort of wind up exactly where you're supposed to be because you just trust the process?
I guess so. You know, I kind of feel like that especially happens when you're younger. And I actually talk about this in the show that I'm developing now, where I kind of feel like the universe gives you have a certain amount of years where the universe gives you magic and lets magical things happen. And I'm not saying that magic can't continue happening, but there's something about when you're young and you're applying yourself and you're in it and you're out in the world for the first time. It's almost like your guardian angels are really out there looking out for you, right? Until you grow up, and then and then at around like 25, they go, okay, no more magic for you. Get your shit together.
Well, you know what though? Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and then like you go through a bunch of shit. Maybe you have kids. Maybe your parent dies. And then that magic shows up again.
Oh, I need that magic to show up again.
Girl, it's coming for you. I just got the chills. It's coming for you. And you know what? So when my mom passed away and then my brother passed away, and I was raising these kids and taking care of everything, I was like, so of course I got a job. I was like, okay, I have to do something because I have to pay the bills. I have to take care of everybody. The moment that I said, I don't want to do this job anymore, I want to do what I love again, it was like everything just opened up. It was like everything just opened up. Those fairies showed up again, the guardian angels, and they were like, okay, you're serious now. You've seen what this is. You've seen this other stuff. And then, I mean, every day is now magical again, right?
Okay.
And I think it's that, you know, yes, I think it's also that when you re-embrace your inner child and you go, oh, I need this, it shows up.
Ah, right. I really hope, oh God, I really hope that's true, because I could use some. And I'm feeling like now that I have decided, because people have been asking me since I had Francisco, right? People have been, when are you performing again? When are you performing again? And I just kind of like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this band thing anymore.
I get it.
Can't afford it.
I get it.
It's so much sacrifice. And it just seemed kind of insane, right? I now have this kid. Why on earth am I going to pay $1,000 to do a gig? And I'm not going to see that money back. Maybe I'll make half of it back.
Right.
If I'm lucky. I'll
right.
make half of it back. So as much as I love rock and roll and would love to do that again, I cannot afford it. You know?
I understand. I completely understand. And it's like, but I guarantee you will find your way, because I feel like when you are given a talent that's that big, it makes room for itself. And it's so hard in this world to just trust that and go, okay, whatever's for me is going to show up, because the world is not made like, it's not magical, right?
No.
It's not magical, but we're magical.
Well, the thing is that what I'm hoping is that what you said, that now that I have finally said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I found something that works. I'm telling my story. I'm developing this show. I've got people that are interested in helping me. You know, Nona Hendricks and Joanne Chase are helping me, like, through support, financial support. It's been fantastic. But it took 5 years for me to finally get to this point,
right,
where I can say, you know, my kid is old enough now. I've got this great, amazing guitar player, Sean Harkness, who is like, he is a rock. I can go anywhere and he's right there. Like, I can fall off the cliff and he'll jump after me.
you need that. Yeah, we all need that. We need that person. Because I was about to say to you, girl, get yourself a guitar and learn how to play. That for me was life-changing. But if you have somebody that is like an extension of yourself, just lean into that. Because I'm telling you, like, again, that kind of talent is not, everybody doesn't get that. That's not just being thrown out, like, you know,
right.
That's major. But I think it's just stepping into it and going, okay, I don't want to do anything else, so I'm going to say no to everything else that isn't that. And I mean, for me, I was afraid because, you know, I had the kids and I was like, oh my God, I have to take care of them. But then I had this moment where I was like, maybe I take care of them by showing them that they can live whatever dream it is they want if they show up. You know,
That's powerful.
But for girls, I mean, especially for girls, like, just giving them that, hey, if this is what you want to do, there are ways to do it. And it doesn't always look like the straight and narrow, but it works out in the end.
Yeah, you know, and I think now that I finally, like, also, you know, it's about asking for help and letting yourself receive the freaking help.
Yeah.
So there have been times, you know, you live a life, right, where in your family, whatever, most people, when they're children and they're growing up, they get a message that they shouldn't be trouble, make trouble, don't ask for too much help, what you do wrong, that message is constantly. Yeah. And this is not said in any form of judgment. Those things happen because parents, it's hard to parent. It is, and as this world becomes more chaotic and, you know, it gets even more difficult. And the more we isolate from each other, it's even more difficult to parent. Yeah. And, you know, so what's interesting is that, so I understand why that happens to children, right? We get this message that we shouldn't be a pain in the ass and don't ask for help. And then you also have experiences where you do ask for help and people let you down. And so then you go, okay, well, if I want something done, I'm going to do it myself, right? Right. So you grow up, but then there comes a time when you really do need help. And I really, I needed help. I'm like, everyone's asking me when I'm going to perform again. And I'd love to perform again, but I cannot do this alone. You know, so people have shown up and it's great. And it's like, later on this month, I'm going to be sitting down with my buddies from Universes. Do you know Universes Theater?
I love them.
Yes.
Mildred and Steve and Jamal.
So Mildred and Steven are like, you know, we want to work on developing the show and whatever. So I've been doing some stuff and writing down, and then, you know, hopefully they're going to help me tweak it all. I don't know exactly what it's going to end up being, but right now it's still pretty powerful because the stories are powerful, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I just, I can totally see you doing stuff that's not music, but still art and telling stories. And I mean, you're such a great storyteller, so why not? And you have great stories. And people, I think what I'm learning is that people are so inspired by other people's process and how they get to that point where they are, and the bravery that it requires to really walk in your own truth and just be authentic and find yourself in this crazy, chaotic world where we have all of these thoughts that are thrust upon us about what we're supposed to do, especially as women, like who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to parent, how we're supposed to get married, how we're supposed to, like, all of that, right? And if you are outside of the box and you don't have the parental support for that, It's a challenge. It's
Yeah.
really a challenge.
I mean, you know, it's interesting because I call my show is called No Parental Guidance, right? And it's not a dig on my parents, really. It's really just about the fact that I grew up in a family where, and also culturally, you know, I think it's very common with most immigrants where parents ain't got time. You ain't got time that we're not going to hold your hand and coddle you. You
No.
do your own homework. You come home from school. I'm not asking you about your homework. I'm assuming that you're on it and you're doing
right.
it. And maybe I'll go to the parent teacher conference because my mom would come, but she was terrified the whole time because she was intimidated because she didn't know
language.
You know, yeah. So she was always intimidated, and that's still to this day I see that happening with immigrant parents where they don't feel like they have a voice. And so, you know, you're working so hard just to keep your kids in a home with clothing and food. You're on survival mode.
Right.
So we all kind of like, you know, and also you're expected to chip in at a very young age. Like, oh, you know how to walk? Go wash your dishes. yeah. Okay. You know how to do that? Okay. Now here you go. Butcher this chicken. One of my chores in the 4th grade was to come home and butcher the chicken that had been defrosting from the morning. I was in the 4th grade. I was 9 years old butchering a chicken.
Wow.
And my sisters, they had the same experience. They were like, okay, Sophia, you're old enough. Come, let me teach you how to butcher this chicken. So it was my sisters that taught me. It was my sisters that taught me everything that your mother would teach you, right?
Right.
So like when I tell people that my mom kicked me out when I was 16, Latinos and Black people don't bat an eye. They're just like, what were you doing? Acting a fool? You know, why she kick you out? Yeah, I know why she kicked you out. You needed to get kicked out.
That's so
But white people, they freak out. Oh my God. Oh, that must have been so traumatic for you. Oh my God. Really? Why'd your mother kick you out? Oh my God. How did you manage? How did you survive? Like, oh my God. But Black people and Latino people are just like, what did you do?
Right.
What did you do? What did you do?
It's your fault.
That your mother kicked you out the house.
Right.
Which is, and quite honestly, that was the best summer of my life.
Yeah.
My mother kicked me out. I was not afraid. You know, I was just like, yes, freedom. Yeah.
And again, like that's magical to me, right? That you got kicked out and you were able to turn into this person who's now raising a child, right? And I mean, what was that like for you? Like figuring out that, because did you want children and you just were like, okay, I'm ready. This is the right person. Like, how did all that happen?
Well, I have to say that being of the generation that I am, I always wanted to have children. I was, you know, I wanted to be a rock star, but I also wanted to be a mother. Those things were like, I didn't see where one was going to get in the way with the other. We were also of that generation, right? We were the children during the women's movement.
Yes.
And so to a degree, we were sold the whole idea that we could have it all.
Absolutely.
Little did we know that that's not fucking true.
You can have it all, but not at the same time.
Exactly. And you can have it all if you are a multimillionaire and you hire people to help you.
Right.
Then you could probably, and even then it's going to cost you. Because it's going to cost you the time away from your children.
Yes.
So it's still going to cost you.
Absolutely.
So, but you know, I was just like, yeah, by the time I'm 30, I want to be done having children, you know, because that's how I was raised. You know, you have kids young. And I never met the right person to have a child with.
Right.
Because if it's one thing that I did learn from my dad being the womanizer that he was, because my dad wasn't around, you know, he split when I was little, and he was such a womanizer, like chronic. I always used to say, even if I meet a man with whom the relationship does not last, please at least let him be a decent person that I can have a friendship with afterwards, and let him be a great father.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that's exactly what I ended up getting. It's like I manifested that.
Wow.
I manifested the great guy, but no relationship longevity. But he's a great dad.
He's a great dad, and he's a nice guy too. I remember when you guys, yeah, he's a good dude. You got lucky.
He's a nice guy. He's intelligent. He comes from a good family. We're friends. We co-parent. You know what I mean? Like, like, oh my God, like that's huge, because so many relationships don't end up staying together with the person, but at least to be able to co-parent in peace.
Yeah. Because for the children,
and he's a great father. He's a great
right.
father. So, you know, he enjoys being a dad, and, you know, he's a great example for Francisco. So I'm lucky.
You are lucky. No, you got really lucky, because a lot of people aren't. They have, you know, just terrible relationships with their exes, and that's never good for the kids, you know?
It's horrible. It's really, really bad. And, you know, it's kind of like, what's interesting is that even when you have the best situations growing up, whether you have parental guidance or no parental guidance or whatever, it has always amazed me how the relationship, the parent-child relationship, is meant to have its issues.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. I have friends that grew up wealthy. I mean, not wealthy, but, you know, privileged.
Yeah.
With educated parents, educated grandparents, grew up in nice houses. I've met their parents. Their parents are beautiful people. And these friends of mine will still bitch about their parents. Will still bitch about, oh, and then my mother did that, and then my father. And what it has taught me is that that's the contract.
Yeah.
When you decide to become a parent, the contract is that you are going to do something, no matter how great or not great, you are going to do something, or something about your personality is going to affect your child.
Absolutely.
Adversely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You will be in therapy no matter who you are. And
right. So
but it's everybody's first time. You know, it's like people, I look at my parents, and my parents got married older. They were 28 and 29, which, you know, is not old by now standard. But when they got married in 59.
Yeah, that was old.
That was old. They, you know, people were like, oh my God, are you ever going to get, but they had traveled, they had gone to school, they had seen a lot of life. And then they waited another 5 years to have me, and then another 5 years to have my brother. So they were like these real planners, and they just, girl, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it unless it's like that, because this other stuff makes me really uncomfortable and nervous and crazy. And I'm like you, like I always wanted kids, but I was like, no, I want a family unit. I want the whole thing. I want somebody that's like my dad, who, you know, is really responsible. And it didn't happen. So it's like, oh, but it's cool. Like, you know, I think I got the best of both worlds. Like having kids, you know, later in life, you have so much more to give them. I mean, you're exhausted, God forbid, but it's, girl, I was like, wait, 3 kids all of a sudden, and what? Now, wait, what?
Listen, parenting and menopause, ciao.
I'm still not done. And I'm just like, really? Like, am I going to be 80? And
all I know is that I have never been so tired or so fat in my life. And I'm like, help me, help.
Seriously.
It's the whole, like, you know, I feel like it's like puberty all over again. Like what's happening with my body? What's happening now? And mostly it's the lack of sleep. It's the inability to stay asleep, or not be able to fall asleep, or sleep for 4 hours and then be wide awake. Yeah. Like, my God, do I mourn being able to sleep for like 6 hours straight. At least 6 hours straight.
Well, you know what? The sleep thing, I'm okay. So I think I'm a little bit older than you are, and that's fine. It does get better, right? Like the sleep thing. I mean, I can sleep a solid 6 hours, right? My issue is actually getting in the bed. By the time I get in the bed, I'm so exhausted. I'm out. And I was talking to B. Jeffrey Smith, and he's like, "You sleep for 6 hours?" I was like, "Yes, freak. I'm not like you, where you sleep for 4 hours, you vampire." Like, he doesn't sleep.
No, he's a man. Men don't count. Men don't need as much sleep as women. I have it. My ex would sleep 4 hours. I'm like, you're gonna die.
I said the same thing to him. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, how are you
gonna have a heart attack?"
Listen, I will sleep my 6 hours and then I will take a nap in the middle of the day. Because right now, Sophia, I'm up at 5 a.m., right, with the kids. And I'm like, this is the first time in my life. Like, I've never had a job that required me to be anywhere before like 10 o'clock.
Oh, I know.
Who does this?
I know that is, I will say, that is the kind of the drawback of having kids later. So I was just like, oh, it's okay to have kids later because then you're like more mature. And while that might be true, my God, by the time your kid is like, so now he's going through puberty and I'm going through menopause, right. The emotions, the mood swings.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God. So I literally have to, like, I say things in my head like, okay, Sophia, now be quiet and stay quiet. Like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. And just whatever, just let them figure it out. Don't say anything. Just let them figure it out. Because otherwise it'll be drama and an argument.
Are you able to do that? Are you able to do, because that's amazing.
No, I'm not successful every time, but I do. Like, I'm not successful if I'm sleep deprived. Then I'm just like, listen, and like this rageful Latina comes out, and I do scare them sometimes.
Listen, you have to scare them, and the sleep deprivation, that shit is real. Like, and I remember, like, back in the day, I could get a solid 8 hours of sleep. Like, now, I'm good to get between 5 and 6, and I'm just like, okay, it's the quality. As long as I get good sleep, I'm fine. But sleep deprivation is real, and it can make you say and do things you're like, wait, did I say that out loud?
I know, and that's happened to us on occasion on some mornings where he's having a complete meltdown over nothing, and I'm trying to get him out of the door so that he's, goes to school on time.
Right.
And the the hormones are raging, and then my hormones, and so then there's just like, and then he's like, oh shit,
too far.
Yeah, and then he goes, and then I'm like, oh God. Then I feel like crap for the rest of the day. Like, oh, I shouldn't have yelled at him. But how do you get kids to do stuff? I mean,
yell at them.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm not exhausted, I can use my tools, because I have tools.
Right.
I mean,
you have to be awake, Yeah.
I mean, wow. I did enough therapy and enough like woo-woo, new agey workshops at Big Sur in California that, like, I got a little toolbox. But if I'm exhausted, no. If I'm exhausted, then Blanca Ramos comes out. That's my mother. Blanca Ramos. She would like hit me with anything she could. Now, I don't hit my child, but I do rage, but I don't hit him. Yeah. But she would, like, with brooms, with the, what do you call that? Hangers and shit.
The belt, the shoe, whatever, shoes. Just throw it.
It was a different time too, because I never in a million years, even though like nobody likes to get hit, right? It sucked, but never in a million years would I ever think of raising my hand.
No.
You know, I would never tell her to shut up. I would never.
Girl, no.
Yeah, right. And these kids nowadays, they will say, "Shut up," and like, yeah, I don't. It's definitely a generational thing.
It is. I didn't even talk back to my parents, even as an adult. Like, I might say it in my, in my mind, and my mother would be like, "I hear you speaking in your mind. Stop it." And I'd be like,
That's hilarious.
ever the threat, she'd be like, "I hear you." And the side look like, I'm gonna kill you when we get home, right?
Oh yeah.
I was afraid, and it's funny. Like, I was afraid until full adulthood, and my brother was like, "You're scared of mom, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, and so are you." He was like, "You're right."
What happened? How did we? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Something happened.
Oh,
I mean, but I'm managing.
yes. I mean, it looks like it looks like you're managing quite well. I mean, I think we're always doing better than we think we are. Just it looks crazy because you're in the middle of it, trying to figure out like, how did I get here? I was a musician on stage doing my thing, singing and now I'm a parent. I'm responsible for another person, a full ass human being. Like,
and you got 3 of them. How do you manage with 3?
So I don't even know. I mean, right now the 2 little ones are with their mom because they were like, we want to go be with our mom, and she was like, okay. And I'm dying, so I have the senior now, and people are like, oh, the oldest one must be difficult. Man, listen, she's a piece of cake. Like, she has seen everything, and she's like, yeah, I don't want to do any of that. And it's like her little friends will be like, hey, let's go sneak out, and she's like, or we can call my aunt and she'll drive us and wait for us. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That is fantastic.
Because I told her, I said, listen, I can only protect you if I know where you are. And there's no judgment, right? There's no judgment. I want you to be safe. So when your little friends are like, trying to do dangerous stuff, because the world is a dangerous place, right?
Yep.
Now that middle child, she's born the day after I am. And my mother used to say, I hope you get one that's just like you. And I was like, well, I'm not planning on having any because clearly I can hear my mother laughing in this house right now, Sophia, because that little girl is...
How old is she?
She just turned 13.
Oh, that's a rough age, man.
Yeah. The oldest...
5 years.
Yeah, the oldest said yesterday that she had on this like midriff shirt, and I was like, they don't understand. I'm like, please don't grow up. Once you grow up, you can't go back.
Yeah.
At least not for a long time. And if you make some mistakes now that are having a child now when you're in your teens will kill the rest of your life. Like, what are you? But they just want to grow up so quickly. And I never really wanted to grow up. I was good. I was like, you know what? It's kind of nice being a kid and being young. And now that you get old, it's like you pay bills all the time. That's what you do. You raise other children. You do all this stuff. And I'm like, just be a kid. Just enjoy it. There's nothing that you...
But girls, especially girls in that age group, I mean, some girls by 10, they already think they're grown. And they start acting that way as young as 10. It can happen as young as 10. So what's interesting to me, because I used to work with kids when I was in my 20s, and because I was in my 20s, I was still close enough to that teen angst that I totally got it, and I was like, and what the mistake that I used to see the parents and even some of the teachers make was that they assumed that their children were never going to do drugs and never going to have sex. And I'm like, no, they're going to do that. Whether you think they're not, whether they're like so wholesome at home, even some of the most wholesome ones are still going to experiment in some way. So rather than pretend that that's not going to happen, talk to them about it. And don't be, and you have to accept that my child might have a sexual experience by the time they're 12. In New York City, that's definitely the case.
It's a thing. Yeah. I mean,
yes,
that's really a thing.
So you have to have these conversations. I mean, my son is like, he's not even 12 yet. He's just like, yeah, Mom, I know about the condom. And I'm like, we have to have these conversations, because this shit, not every kid is having the same wholesome or the same kind of family upbringing. There are kids who already are having sexual experiences at 10.
Yeah.
As young as 10.
Yeah.
And they're not positive sexual experiences, obviously.
Because at 10, what could be positive? I mean,
exactly.
Really.
So they're being molested, they're being groomed, and they take that to school. And so you have to have these conversations. And so what was one of the reason that I was so successful with the teen group, which no one wanted, everyone was just like, oh, we don't want this group. I said, I'll take them, was because not only did I talk to them about that stuff, I let them talk about it. So they used to do, every year they used to do a Broadway review with the teens. And when I got a hold of them, I said, listen, I hate Broadway, so we're not doing that. We're going to write our own show. And they were like, what's it going to be about? I said, I don't know. You tell me. So we would have skits, improv skits that they would do about what they wanted to talk about. So we did this really great show that sex, drugs, foster care, parents in jail.
Real shit.
Okay. Because that's what they wanted to talk about. And everyone's here trying to shield them, but they're already living this shit.
Right. Right. With all of these questions and no answers for it. So they're just trying to figure their way. And that's like, and I mean, I was very sheltered as a child, right? And when the 3 came to me, I was like, oh, well, I didn't know how to raise them any other way than how I had been raised.
Right.
But then I was like, oh, no, I just have to ask them, like, what's up? What are you doing? Yeah. And let them know, hey, okay, I'm not going to agree with everything that you do, but at least if you talk to me, then we'll have a chance to maybe just delay it.
And what you said about being safe.
Yes.
Right. So with girls, it has to be about having honest conversations about sex with them and preparing them for it.
Yes.
And there's so many people that like, oh, you're grooming them. You're giving them the green light to have sex at a young age. And it's like, you might see it that way, but you have no idea already who she's hanging out with, and if she's already had some kind of a sexual. Right. So I'm just like, you got to have those conversations, and you got to take them to Planned Parenthood, and you got to say, this is what's available to you.
Right.
This is what I would agree with and what I don't agree with. Right. Like I don't agree putting young girls on birth control pills.
No.
There's too many hormones.
Right.
But there's a diaphragm, and there's condoms, and this is where it's accessible to you.
Right.
And if you feel you want it, because you got to create a safe space for them. So if they make that decision prematurely, in our opinion, right?
Of
but
course.
that they're still safe. They're still safe.
Right.
And that they can talk to you if something happens. And, my sister is a psychologist. She's got her doctorates in child psychology.
Wow.
And she doesn't necessarily agree with me on this. However, she works with teens, and the horror stories that she's shared about what they're experiencing, what's happening, and the parents have no clue. And the parents go, no, not my child.
Yes, absolutely your child. And the thing is, nobody wants them to do this. It's not like I'm pushing them. I'm sorry, because I'm like, please don't do it until you're absolutely ready, right? But they don't know that they're not ready because they're kids. And so I would rather give them the opportunity to speak to me and figure it out and talk about it, and say, well, maybe I'll wait. Please, please wait. Don't. But if you cut out communication and they feel like they have to sneak, and then there's the shame that's associated with that too.
Yeah.
All kinds of bad things can happen. And I remember as a kid, my mom was always like, and then she told her mother everything. And I was like, what? And then I would tell my mother everything. And I'm like, what are you, some sort of like, what are you doing? Like, just, you know, the Jedi mind tricks. Like, why did I? So, you know, and I want to be the same with them, but the world is different, right? And I didn't raise them, you know. The littlest one was like 3 when, you know, she started hanging out with me. But, you know, Riley was 10. I mean, which anything could have happened. I mean, I'm glad that it didn't, but I just want her to feel, and her friends, I want them to feel like they can talk to me about whatever, because that's the only way to keep them safe at this point.
It's true. I know. I'm, you know, trying to raise my son in a way that he's going to be respectful to women, you know, because when you're raising daughters, you're afraid that they might get pregnant or, you know, be violated in some way. But when you're raising boys, there seems to be, you know, people don't seem to take into consideration. You have to raise them so that they're not violators.
Right. Because the old boys will be boys. That happens so much. And that's why these boys feel like they can do stuff like that. And I think it's our responsibility to raise them to be good men and have good role models. But it's hard to find that. Okay, girl.
Because you have to raise them to not expect things from girls.
Yes.
Expect sex because you told her she's pretty or whatever stupid nonsense. But no one seems to ever have these conversations, right, about boys and raising boys, and at least not in the way that they should be having these conversations.
Right, in the way that they tell their girls, hey, don't wear something that's provocative, right? And not that I want them to wear anything that's provocative, but they should be able to and still be safe. But they are not safe because the boys are not told, hey, if a girl says no, then it means no. It doesn't matter what she is on. That has nothing to do with anything. Okay, we are at an hour. Can you believe it?
Oh, shit.
So please, okay, tell us when your show is, and I'm going to need you to also send the information so that I can promote you.
Okay, the show is at Pangea, which is on 2nd Avenue downtown between 10th and 12th, I think. 10th and 12th. 10th and 11th, or I forget. But it's not downtown, down there. And it's on September 17th. So it's next Saturday. Next Saturday. I haven't played a Saturday night gig in probably decades. So I did it because all my old folks who follow me are just like, why don't you ever play on a Saturday? I can come and park the car. And
they better be there. They better be
there.
They
fucking better be there, right?
Right. Okay, all you New Yorkers, if you are in New York, you must go see the fabulous Sophia Ramos. She is incredible on stage, just incredible and delightful in person, as you can see also. Listen, Mama, I'm going to ask you. So you have to come back after the show, and we'll have to, like, you know, just debrief, and you can tell me all about it. Will it be live streamed?
No, I don't feel too comfortable doing that right now.
Okay.
Because I'm in development with this show, you know, and so I don't want it all out there before I really kind of
before you work it out.
Yeah.
So no parental guidance at Pangea on the 17th of September. Do yourself a favor. This woman is magnificent. She's a force. You will not regret it. I'm so sad that I'm not going to be there, but I'll be there when it's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for doing this for me. I appreciate it so much.
Anytime. Thank you so much. All right. Reunion of Souls. I will see y'all tomorrow, and enjoy, and go. I'll put up your page and everything so they can add you as a, you know, so they can follow and see what's going on. Okay.
Okay.
I love you. All right. Bye.
Bye.